really a mindset problem. It's not a manifestation problem. That's a temporal paradox, right? You're violating physics by expecting more output from less input. You're trying to pull water from an empty well. The solution isn't more effort. No amount of action more will fix this. It's reallocation of energy. It's reallocation of effort. It's about precision of knowledge and elimination of waste. So the point of this is not to crush your dreams, it's really to cleanse them, to strip them from fantasy and reveal the part that can actually be built. Most people never do this. They stay addicted to vague aspirations because clarity means accountability. And when your dream becomes a blueprint, suddenly you can't hide behind the fog anymore. For example, a 28-year-old sets the goal of becoming financially free by 30. He starts a podcast, invests in crypto and a bunch of shitcoins, launches a few half-baked landing pages, and fills a vision board with Teslas and villas in Bali. But ask him, what does financial freedom actually mean? What's your number? What's your motto? How many clients or sales would it take? And he draws a blank because he hasn't calculated his burn rate. He doesn't know the difference between active income, leveraged income, or recurring revenue. The goal isn't the problem. The problem is it floats in abstraction. He's not building towards freedom, he's just performing. Contrast that with someone who's, for example, a solo consultant who lives 6 months in Lisbon and 6 in Thailand. No team, no office, just a laptop, a few retainer clients, and strong boundaries. They hit $4,800 a month in dollars or euros, whatever you want, in income. His personal freedom number that he or she already calculated in advance and stopped scaling. They knew what they sold, how many hours they were willing to work, and how to minimize expenses without lowering their quality of life. They didn't obsess over growth because that wasn't their goal. They engineered their escape, not by dreaming bigger, but by defining what the goal actually looked like specifically and building the exact system to sustain it. So if you want to change your life, first start by asking this question. Is my goal possible according to the laws of physics? For most people, most of the time, their goals are possible according to physics. But
I'm trying to teleport, my nigga.
Still, strip everything else away. That's your starting point. If the answer is no, then obviously you need to change the goal. If the answer is yes, even barely, then you stop wandering and start researching. You ask yourself, what knowledge am I missing? That's the whole game. Not whether you believe it, not whether your friends or family believe it or get it, just whether it can actually be done. This is where first principles meets physics. They shake hands at the border of impossible. Your job is to find the coordinates where your ambition intersects with what the universe actually allows. Then you set up camp there and you start building. And once you know that the terrain is possible, once you've established that your dream obeys the laws of physics and the universe, you've cleared the first and only hard gate. From there, the game changes entirely. Because now you're not wondering if it can happen, you're wondering how. And that's a very different kind of problem. So let's talk about knowledge as the key variable. So foundationally, if it's possible according to physics and you're not doing it, then the only thing that's missing is what you know. This is the part most people try to skip, and the part that's a bit inconvenient because people don't like hearing that, and the part that doesn't make for good motivational speeches. But it is the one thing that explains everything. Why some people win and others don't. Not talent, not passion, not belief, not even action. Knowledge. Knowledge is the root variable behind every transformation, every level up, every quantum leap you've ever seen. Strip away everything else and you'll find that the skeleton underneath is always the same. One person knew something that the other didn't. That's it. You can work for 10 years and still get nowhere. But one piece of knowledge at the right time, applied the right way, can warp time and collapse a decade of struggle into a month of momentum. So you don't need more force. You actually need a better fulcrum. And knowledge is that fulcrum. I'm not talking about content addiction here. I mean real, applied, high leverage knowledge that solves the exact constraint in your life right now. So you could spend the next 2 years trying to get better at sales, for example, and by winging it on every call, watching random YouTube clips and feeling it out. Or you could actually spend 60 days in a coaching program, role-playing daily, understanding tonality, and internalizing buying psychology. Same ambition, same amount of energy, different knowledge layer. One burns you out, one prints money. This applies to literally everything. You're not inconsistent because you're lazy. You're inconsistent because you don't understand how dopamine works. You're not bad at relationships because you're unlovable. You're bad at relationships because you never even asked yourself the question how to be better at relationships, let alone read a full book on the subject. Again, not a personality defect, just a missing instruction manual. So the wider and deeper your knowledge, the easier it is to create these shifts in your life. If you want financial freedom, you need to understand mindset. You need to understand how value is priced in the marketplace. You need to understand buyer psychology. You need to know how to sell, how to position, how to price. All of that's learnable. That's not a you're not ready yet problem. That's a you haven't studied the right things yet problem. Your breakthroughs are hidden in knowledge. Sometimes it can be as simple as a book. A simple book that gives you a new lens. That's the leverage of knowledge. It feels small going in. It feels obvious when you hear it, but it changes the whole architecture of how you operate. The more you zoom out, the clearer this pattern gets. Financial freedom, it's a knowledge game. You either know how to create leverage or you don't. You either understand acquisition or you don't. You either know how to systematize and scale, or you're still stuck doing one-on-one manual work, praying for referrals. Time freedom, another knowledge game. You either know how to build operational flow or you stay stuck in overwhelm. Location freedom, knowledge again, remote models, geolocation arbitrage, asynchronous workflows, all skills, all learnable, all available to you. People say knowledge is power like it's a hallmark quote, but they never let it land. Power doesn't mean you feel smart. It means you change outcomes. You change reality. You close the client. You design the lifestyle. You protect your peace. Power is the ability to bend your environment to match your internal vision. That is not a personality trait. That is a function of how much you know, how much you learn, and how well you apply it. So let me flip it for you. Every problem in your life right now, literally every single problem, is either unsolved because you're missing a piece of knowledge or because you're refusing to apply the knowledge you already have. That's it. That's it.
That was a whole fat ass meal. I had 3 pork chops. I had 3 eggs, like 4 or 5 little yellow potatoes, some beans, some. Oh my mama, bro! I had a whole corn chop, bro. Oh my god! Thank the Lord for that meal. Like, god damn, that was amazing. Absolutely fantastic. Like, damn, it was so good, bro. No way I ate so good today. Like, damn, there's what? I had a whole motherfucking buffet, bro. I ain't good as fuck. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I gotta call into work.
Damn near traumatized myself.
If you have a Fire Stick, or if you have a Fire Stick, you can go to download